Jordan Brand seems to really want us to accept the Jordan 2s. I've never really loved the Jordan 2s, but I never really disliked them either. But I will admit, the amount of colorways that are coming out, especially with the Jordan 2 lows, it's just kind of leaving me a bit confused. There are some colorways that are super clean, super nice, but there's so many that I'm starting to get slightly annoyed at them. Now we've already seen Jordan 2 Cherrywood, Jordan 2 UNC to Chicago, Jordan 2 Look Up in the Air, Jordan 2 Varsity Royal, Jordan 2 H-Wings, Jordan 2 Seersucker, and that's just the ones I can remember off the top of my head. And just in 2023 today. That's crazy. But the Jordan 2 I'm reviewing today, it is a special one. Not only is the UNC Blue my favorite color on sneakers, it's also a player exclusive that Michael Jordan wore in a game in 1987. It was a UNC alumni game, and he actually had another Jordan 2 player exclusive, not the low top, but the high top, as part of another alumni game that he played in. It was part of a pack. I can't quite remember what that pack was called, but here's the image. That shoe was pretty sick. However, it's UNC Blue. It just always gets me. Air Jordan 2 Low UNC. This shoe is dropping on July 8th for $150. I don't think it's dropping on Sneakers or Nike.com. I think it's one of those shoes that are dropping at select retailers. So definitely look up your local sneaker stores or like big retail chains if you want the shoe in hand. Now just a warning, the UNC Blue is definitely my favorite color on sneakers. So my objectivity when it comes to the colorway and the look and aesthetic of the shoe might be a little biased, so you can probably imagine I definitely have an affinity for the shoe. And the upper sole of the shoe, pretty standard for a Jordan 2 Low. Just a leather base layer with that faux lizard skin mid panel. And the leather on the shoe is really nice. You can see the natural creases and the grain of the leather come through when I press down. The mudguard as well as the tongue does seem to be synthetic leather, so you don't see that same creasing. But as far as the majority of the upper sole, I'm pretty impressed with the leather. Now the use of faux lizard skin, if you didn't know, it's because Nike wanted this shoe to be more premium, so they actually sent this shoe to be made in Italy back in 1985. So the faux lizard skin is supposed to bring out that premium vibe, and it's become sort of an identity for the Jordan 2s. And the heel counter of the Jordan 2 is this TPU material. If you touch it, kind of feels like rubber, but it's solid. And it's meant for support and stability. And I love just touching the material on this heel counter. I don't know what it is, it just feels really nice. And I love the heel tab on the booty of the shoe. Just one of the more distinct booties on any Jordan Brand shoe. Really like that. Now generally on the heel counter they use that softer kind of TPU material that kind of feels like rubber. The only one that I have in my rotation that doesn't use the exact same material on the heel counter is the Jordan 2 H-Wings that came out earlier. That was like that solid TPU, almost feels like plastic or acrylic. You can definitely feel the difference. But this one, I went with the pretty general Jordan 2 TPU heel counter. Now this shoe comes with a polyurethane midsole with a Nike Air unit on the heel. And this shoe, thank God, doesn't come with a sail midsole, just a white midsole, just like the Air Jordan 1 High OG UNC Blue Toe that I just reviewed. That also came with a white midsole, so I'm glad that they stuck with white for both these shoes. I think the white midsole with the blue just looks really clean. And the Jordan 2 comes with a rubber outsole, and you see that Nike cutout in the midfoot area. And also on the outsole, you might notice the 9.5. That's the size of the shoe. And usually for Jordan 2s, they also print the size of your shoe on the outsole. Now I always have to mention this. A lot of times when it's a women's exclusive, they forget to change what's on the outsole to the women's sizing. So if this was women's exclusive, I'd be getting a size 11, and they would still come with a 9.5. Little details that they miss. But for this shoe, none of that problem exists. It's not a women's exclusive, so you got it right. And I just really like the color on the outsole. The dark gray with the UNC blue as well as white. I think it goes really well together. And I like how they limited the gray just to be on the outsole itself. It doesn't appear on the upper sole apart from the tongue. So if you look closely behind the Wings logo as the backdrop, it is that gray. Now speaking of the tongue, one of my favorite things about Jordan 2s is the Wings logo on the tongue. The placement and the way it becomes like the focus and center point of the shoe. I just really like that. And again, it comes in that TPU kind of rubber material. Feels like an eraser. Love running my hands over this Wings logo. And you'll see the easy lace system of the Jordan 2. I really like that feature. Aesthetically, it might not look that great. However, I think it's a nice and functional system. That's when I know I'm getting old. When I'm thinking about practicality and functionality, over how it looks. Can't help it. And I also have to mention the ventilation of the Jordan 2. I think it's pretty unique. It runs all the way up the tongue, right under the Wings logo, and all the way from the toe box, extended all the way to the mid panel. And I used to not like how it extends all the way back there. There's that Jordan 2 Nina Chanel that got rid of that ventilation pattern. However, Jordan Brand's strategy is working. They're just throwing a bunch of Jordan 2s until you get used to it, until you like it. And I actually like that ventilation pattern now. They got me. And now moving on to the inside of the shoe, carrying on that UNC blue theme. The insole is in that same blue with white Nike Air branding. Now I gotta mention the padding of the ankle collar. It is super thick, super soft. The Jordan 2s are one of the more comfortable Jordans, in my opinion. And part of it, or a lot of it, actually has to do with that padding around the collar. It feels so comfortable, even if you're wearing like no-show socks, because of the material, because of how soft it is. It doesn't like scrape against your ankles, and I'll have more to say on size and comfort later. But I always appreciated the padding on the ankle collar of the Jordan 2s. Now unfortunately this shoe doesn't come with any extra laces. I would have probably liked to see what this shoe would look like with the UNC blue. However, with the white, I think it looks very, very clean still. I like the default white laces, but I always appreciate when they throw in extra laces, if not to use on this shoe, maybe to swap it out with another shoe in the future. However, they cheaped out on laces this time. Despite them having an opportunity to play into Michael Jordan's alma mater, they don't. They just give us a pretty generic Jordan 2 box with the Wings logo. I do generally like this box. However, I still think they leave some storytelling on the table when it comes to the UNC colorway. Inside the box, about as standard and bland as it can get. Now moving on to size and comfort, I'm a size 9.5 true to size. For Jordan 2s, I usually go true to size. Sometimes it's inconsistent. Sometimes the Jordan 2 will come pretty stiff out of the box, and then I prefer to go up half a size. It just is kind of hit and miss, but I found for about 80% of the Jordan 2s, staying true to size works for me. It does take a while to break in sometimes, so if you do have wide feet, I recommend just going true to size. For this shoe specifically, it's actually pretty soft out of the box. The arch area where the TPU material starts, that can kind of create a little problem for flat footers. However, once you break it in, it does soften up. But for the rest of the shoe, I found it's very comfortable. Inside the shoe, like I mentioned before, the padding is very, very sufficient. The cushioning is decent. Insoles are pretty generic. It's got one Nike Air unit on the heel. It does have a polyurethane midsole, so there's some weight savings compared to like a rubber midsole. Overall, the Jordan 2s, one of the standouts in terms of comfort. Now that brings the total sole score for the Jordan 2 Low UNC to 18 out of 25. Actually one of the highest scores compared to other general release shoes. And if you want to know all the sole scores for every shoe that I've ever reviewed, just go to soleinclined.com and it's all there. Now colorway wise, I'm definitely biased. The UNC blue is my favorite color on sneakers, and with a white sneaker with hints of UNC blue, there's not really much to say. It's right up my alley. I'm not objective when it comes to the colorway for this shoe. I can't be. I've tried, but it just is so clean. I love the colors on the shoe. Now material wise, I think it's decent. The leather on the upper sole predominantly is very nice leather. It feels soft. You can see the natural creasing on the leather. However, on the tongue and the mudguard, feels like synthetic leather. I've never really loved the faux lizard skin on Jordan 2. It is growing on me the more Jordan 2s I get. I'm just kind of getting used to it. However, in general, I don't love it because you know it's faux lizard skin. If it's real lizard skin, it costs a lot of money. But to the touch, it just kind of feels plastic. Comfort wise, like I alluded to earlier, this Jordan 2 is soft out of the box, not a lot of break-in time required. And in general, the Jordan 2s, even if they do come stiff out of the box, they do break in and then it becomes a very comfortable shoe. Now versatility wise, I think the Jordan 2 lows are actually more versatile than the normal Jordan 2. I think low top sneakers are generally more easy to wear and more versatile than high tops. And in this colorway, it is just so clean. Like what can't you wear this with? Again, maybe I'm a little biased because of the UNC blue, but I think you can make this shoe work with just about anything. Now storytelling wise, I've said this about every shoe that features the UNC blue. I think they can do more and play into the history of the University of North Carolina and Michael Jordan, but they never choose to, so in this shoe, it just seems like another general release. Probably doesn't make sense to people that aren't into sneakers, but there's something about PEs that just makes a shoe that much more special. Something about seeing a player wear the shoe and then decades later, the public finally gets a chance to wear that same shoe, and it also helps that the person that wore the shoe originally was the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Soul Inclined. Let me know what you think of the Air Jordan 2 Low UNC. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.